Hi, my name is Bill, and I'm here to do a little speech. And this is going to deal with off-road motorcycling in the 1970s. I'm 58, and I'm from a small town in Northern California, out off in the boonies, in the gold mining and lumber area. And back in the 1970s, across America, there was a big boom in off-road motorcycle riding. And the 1970s have been called the golden era of off-road motorcycling. And I was right smack dab in the middle of it. I was a big motorcycle fan, and had been riding motorcycles since 1975. And my first motorcycle, when I was 14 years old, was a 1969 Yamaha 100 L5T, which, if you look at pictures of them now, looks like a street bike, but it was known as an on and off-road motorcycle at the time. And in about a year from after that, I got a 1974 Yamaha DT 175A, which was an enduro motorcycle, one that can be ridden on or off road, except this one was stripped down to make it into kind of an off-road motorcycle only, the lights taken off and other components taken off. It was sort of like a motocross type motorcycle, very noisy. And then in about a year I got a 1975 Yamaha MX400B monoshock, true motocross motorcycle. I really liked it. Got that when I was maybe around 16, 17. And just so you know, you probably can't see it very well, but there's a photo of me on it in 1977. Great motorcycle, I really loved it. And motorcycles, off-road motorcycles really improved in their technology between about 1972, 1973, and 1976. The jump in improvement in suspension was great. Went from having just not very good suspension to having great suspension. And overall, they just became so much more popular. There was so much competition between manufacturers that each manufacturer was trying to outdo the other every year, so that improved the motorcycles, and lots of people were getting into it. Kids liked them, not all boys and not all male. There were lots of women and girls riding motorcycles in those days. And kids, of course, were still doing things outdoors in those days. This was pre-computers, pre-cell phones, and lots of activities still went on outside, much more so than now. And there were the outdoor motorcycle sports, just riding off-road, riding on dirt roads, riding out in the country, and enduro motorcycle races, which meant, very briefly, you ride your motorcycle across country and you're supposed to get to different points at certain times. And then there was motocross itself on established motocross tracks. And then there was what we did most of the time, which was just ride around on dirt roads and fire roads. Fire roads were those that were cut through forested sections by the firefighting authorities to be able to get to places if there were fires, and there were fires in those days. And they were very useful in a lot of ways other than their intended use. They allowed us to take our motorcycles before we were even old enough to drive cars, and get to just about anywhere in the entire county just on off-roads. And those roads were open to anyone to drive on, and so if I needed to go someplace 20 miles away, I did not need to use the public road. I could just go on an off-road. Lots of those good old roads are fenced off now, unfortunately, but in those days people essentially let you do whatever you wanted to do if you weren't damaging things, and riding a motorcycle was very normal. Most of my friends had motorcycles, and we learned about maintaining them, learned about motors, and that was very useful information. And we weren't that crazy, strangely enough, about street motorcycles. because for the most part we weren't old enough, but we didn't really care that much about them. If we wanted to drive somewhere on a road, we'd use a car or a pickup truck. The motorcycles were for off-road for the most part. So motorcycles are still popular. You see the four-wheelers that people are using more now. Those were in their infancy back in the 70s. And I didn't know anybody at that time who even used one. But those were great days, lots of fun, and I kind of miss them. Thanks very much. Bye.